Hello, friends. It is Pastor Brian Callies, with this kind of an interesting new take on a talk show. It's called Keeping It Real. So we're with the Keeping It Real live talk show. Um, we're going to be live on Facebook and YouTube. So if you are going to join the show, we welcome you to make your comments, make your posts. If you're going to join us live, if you're going to watch this afterwards, of course, if you put your comments and posts after there, we'll have to take care of it after the show. But we have an interesting topic today. It's called Holiday Blues. So we're getting close to this holiday time. And we got an amazing guests with us today that are going to help us to deal with that, that whole concept of the holidays and holiday blues. So invite your friends and come and check us out. We'll check you in just a minute.
Hey now, take a step outside and seize the day now. Set aside your worries, it's okay now. The sun is here to stay. Blue skies, feel the wind beneath you as you fly by. Dancing on a cloud, it lifts you high, high, high. Your troubles
Welcome. Again, Pastor Brian Callies here with Keeping It Real talk show, Keeping It Real, the live talk show where we talk about real discussions with real people, real topics. And again, we're on Facebook Live and YouTube Live right now. We're also going to be recording. We're going to be streaming it on other services as well. But if you're watching us live, you can go ahead and please place your comments, your questions, and we will make sure we can get them to these amazing guests that we have today. So we have an amazing guests. Two amazing guests. Let me introduce you to my friends here. So the first is, ladies are always first, right? So we got Pastor Dianne Young, and then we have her wonderful husband, Bishop William Young, Dr. Young. So Dr. William is well, I'm going to let you. They both work at an amazing facility. Let me tell you guys a little bit about it, but rather than me kind of going through it, let me introduce again Dr. William and Pastor Dianne Young, and let them tell you a little bit about who they are and what they do. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for the invitation.
We're excited to have you.
First, I'll do a little talking here.
Please.
Brian, we're glad to be with you, and thank you for all that you do for our community as well.
Oh, thank you.
Keeping our children safe. But we are, of course, pastors of the Healing Center on Chulahoma Road. That's our church. But we have an extension of that, which is the Healing Word Counseling Center. Contained in that is our Emotional Fitness Centers of Tennessee. This is a program where we screen individuals that may be having emotional issues. We screen the family, children, adults. We screen them to determine what type of needs they have emotionally. We also have Faces of Memphis. This is where we do training for those who may have children who have diagnoses or maybe mental, emotional, or behavioral health issues. And we work with those parents to get them trained and certified as family support specialists. And then we also have the Wellness and Stress Clinic of Memphis. And this is a free clinic where we have doctors and nurse practitioners, we have social workers, and once a month we have lawyers. And it's a place where you can go and get your needs met free, no charge. Remember that. It is a free clinic, the Wellness and Stress Clinic of Memphis. And I guess I should mention that we are also co-founders of Suicide and the Black Church, which we've been hosting biannually those conferences since 2002. And I'll let my husband tell you a little more.
Well, I'm William Young. I'm the senior pastor I'm a former chaplain, the first African American chaplain at Methodist Hospital. And prior to that, I worked at Western State Mental Hospital in Bolivar, Tennessee. Uh, my job today is to supervise those who are trying to get their license. We have, with the Emotional Fitness Centers of Tennessee, we have PALs. That's representatives from many churches in our city. And I supervise them and I look over their work and send it to the appropriate place. Maybe somebody might need further counseling. They may need to see a psychiatrist. They may need to see a drug and alcohol person. I oversee the whole operation that deals with the emotional needs of our people. With this new wellness and stress clinic, it's based upon the fact that people need to be well emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And so those things are contained in the Wellness and Stress Clinic. We have doctors who, from the University of Tennessee, who give free medical care. We have counselors from Memphis State who do social service. And so it's just a one-stop shop that the Lord has allowed us to uh, continue in ministry. I've been in ministry for 47 years.
Wow. Wow. How was that? Now, there was no way I was going to do that justice. Now, woo! Well, first, I'm so excited to have you on the show, but I'm also excited to have you as friends. And it's amazing what impact you've been able to do so far, and all the things that God's brought you into. Just that's and even the concept of the healing center. So that's what's so amazing is that, you know, God doesn't want us to stay in that broken place. He sometimes gives people like yourselves to help us to get to a happier place and a healthier place. So thank y'all for everything that you do. Wow, that's amazing. Amazing. Give yourselves a hand. Wow.
I count it a blessing just to be a servant.
Oh, I love it.
We try to do. We try to serve God by serving His people.
Wow, amazing. Well, rub off on me a little bit, will you, right there?
You're doing it.
Just stay in the game long enough. You get the same accolades.
Well, I got a fine example to follow, right? 2 fine examples right there.
Thank you, Brad.
Well, so we're going to be talking a little bit about today is holiday blues, and look, 2 perfect people to talk about this situation because, you know, we got a unique time right now in 2020, right? It's a little bit different than normal. So not that we didn't have holiday blues before, but now we've got holiday blues on steroids, I would think, because we've now thrown the whole COVID thing in and everybody's staying at home and they're not used to going out, and you can't sometimes do the social interaction. And so that's a different take. And then you also have those that holidays maybe just isn't the best time for them, like some of us think, because of some tragedy they've been in, some situations, some loss, that kind of thing.
Right, absolutely.
Well, so, when we're talking about holiday blues, we're talking about a seasonal depression.
Okay.
That deals with Thanksgiving and around Christmas, and this depression usually lasts until after the holidays. If the depression lasts more than 2 weeks, then a person needs to be cognizant that they may have a depression problem. They may have some other clinical things that are going on. But the expectation of being happy during this time of the year it really stresses people out financially. This year, we've been added another layer when we talk about the pandemic. You can't be with your family, and that produces stress on all of us. That you
Yeah.
can't be around those who used to give you happiness during the holidays.
Well, you just said something that was interesting. Is we're trying to be happy and take this opportunity for the holidays to be happy, but a lot of times that leads to stress.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Wow.
Yes. Yes. Stress.
I never thought about it like that, but I guess it's true. I mean, you're a lot of people think about it as a time maybe of interacting with people they don't normally interact with, maybe in the family or whatnot,
Yeah.
and that's a challenging opportunity. So, well, tell me a little bit more about what you're talking about on the depression.
Well, the depression can uh, appear as increased stress and anxiety. You can have
And that's
uh,
depression, though. That can be it's signs of depression. Is that right?
yeah, leading up to
Oh,
depression. You feel sad during this time.
mm.
You uh, have expectations that are unrealistic in many cases. Financially, people are not able to buy all the things that they, if you're talking about Christmas, that
Yeah.
they were able to do. People are laid off, they don't have jobs. You have food lines of where people who never had to accept any help from anybody else, people just in bad shape. Our economy is taking a big shot due to the pandemic.
And what this presents, Brian, if I can jump in here, is that it's many people already suffer from the holiday blues, and the expectations sometimes are hard to live up to because people that were here with us last year or year before are no longer here. And so we have to deal with grief and loss, and dealing with the grief and loss and the expectations of being happy. And many people just aren't happy, not during that season, and they deal with that seasonal depression, and that's what we call the holiday blues.
And there are symptoms of the holiday blues, which include headaches, problems sleeping, insomnia, or some people sleep too much. They have changes in their appetite. They gain weight or either lose weight. Uh, uh, Excessive, misplaced feelings of guilt during
Ooh.
this time. So many people, these are some of the symptoms of the holiday blues. Diminished ability to concentrate.
Hmm.
That's one that can, manifest itself. Then decreased interest in activities that you normally like. That's one of the symptoms. And so these symptoms can also lead to more serious conditions. Other conditions that might include, uh, the seasonal affective disorder, grief, and depression.
Yeah.
If there's doubt, one should seek out a healthcare provider for an evaluation. Check with your doctor if these symptoms last more than 2 weeks.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. So if they last more than 2 weeks, then we should consider it that we
yeah,
need to maybe
yeah,
get a doctor involved
Yes.
to
right,
help
right.
us
Could be
to kind of deal with
could be
that.
depression.
It
Could be depression.
could be clinical depression.
What
Yes.
is depression? Is that a chemical thing? Is that a feeling? What?
It you got different types of depression.
I see.
Sometimes the chemical imbalance is present, and depression clinical depression can lead to suicide. And so that's the where people feel so hopeless, and that's the reason sometimes they have to take medication to even out the chemicals in their system. And
Well,
sometimes it's done through cognitive therapy, reframing the way that they think. There are different ways to approach it.
Yes.
well, that's interesting. I would expect that all of us have experienced some kind of depression in the past. I mean, I know I've went through up times and down times, right?
Yeah.
And I've been through some times where I had to tell myself to get out of the house or tell myself to get up and that kind of stuff. I guess that's maybe the early stages of some.
But that's normal. But it's the duration. If it lasts more than 2 or 3 weeks, then you need to start seeking some kind of professional help.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
I see.
Because you can't shake yourself out of depression.
You can't what? Oh, say that again.
And shake yourself out of depression.
Really?
Like tell you, just get up. No, it doesn't work like that.
And we're talking clinical depression. We're not talking about when you just experience.
We're not talking about you just feeling sad. We're talking about
depression.
Depression, what we call clinical depression.
Wow. Wow.
You need
All right, now y'all are educating me on some stuff now. So I don't pretend to know much about the medical field. So I'm gonna leave it up to experts like y'all, but to know what you're doing. But I have certainly got several friends of mine who have been diagnosed as depressed in time or two, and the early ways of knowing that is to be aware of your own symptoms. Then, so start to be aware of some of those symptoms you described earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the major things is I think we need to take the stigma away from mental health.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people in our religious circle think that it's a sin to be depressed, and it's not. It's a part of the human condition, and you can't pray it away. You have to get treatment. You can pray with treatment, but prayer won't substitute treatment.
Wow. Say that last line again.
I said, well, prayer won't substitute, treatment. A lot of people who are not knowledgeable about depression itself really put people in a bad way because they tell them just pull yourself up by your own bootstrap. But you can't shake it off.
Oops. Sorry about that.
Who end up committing suicide because people were not aware of the signals or signs.
And we should be aware of those signs. Some of the things that William was talking about. We need to be aware that they may need a little more. And Brian, this is the example that I give when we're talking about getting treatment. If you have a headache, you're going to take an aspirin. That's your faith aid. And so if your brain is broken, then you may need more than just a talking to. You need to see a doctor. There's some steps, some things that need to happen in order for you to get the care that you need. And so as people of the faith, we've got to be sure that we don't make people feel guilty, so guilty that they won't seek the help that they need when it comes to depression.
Yeah, because stigma prevents people from getting real help. And sometimes if people take the medication, they will begin to feel better. Therefore, they can concentrate better, and therefore they can act better. But to be in denial is the church in many cases has been in denial.
Yeah, yeah.
And so many people have suffered because, when I first got into this field, there were many who did not believe what I was saying. It was easier to have people to shout and dance than it was to get them to think
And to listen to them.
listen to what your body and your mind is telling you. You know, I have a family member who suffered from schizophrenia,
Oh,
and
okay.
so that itself was a teaching lesson for me.
Hmm.
And so I entered the field. And so being a Vietnam veteran, when I came back, I dealt with PTSD.
Mm.
People don't understand that. That's when you've been exposed to danger like that for a sustained amount of time, it can affect you in terms of sleeping and all those things. But early on, when I was in training, we had to see a therapist ourselves. We had to see a psychiatrist yet. And so,
Wow.
seeing and sitting in the psychiatrist's chair.
It's amazing what cognitive therapy will do. Cognitive therapy.
I'm just keeping it real because
it's changing the way we think.
Yeah. Because in the church world, I see a lot of is that, and this isn't to out any of my awesome church friends and stuff. We're going to keep it real on the show for a minute. We a lot of times will put up that that fake front. Yeah. So that when anybody comes up to how you doing, oh, I'm doing great. Everything's great.
Hallelujah.
I'm praise the Lord.
Yeah. And then, but the truth is behind that mask is a lot of depression, anger, fear, resentment, all kinds of things that they've got going on behind their lives, but they won't let that come out on the front. So,
when you said anger, see, depression is anger turned inward.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
That's good.
In the cases, people don't realize when somebody's depressed, you gotta listen for the anger. There's some anger there, but the anger is not directed toward the one who offended them, but they turn the anger inward on themselves.
Wow. I've never heard about it that way, but that is very clever. And I can see that because what you're doing is you're beating yourself up, basically, right? You're convicting yourself of not being or not,
You're getting this, Brian. You're getting it.
I'm sure when I was working on the psych unit at Methodist, there was a young man who used to come to my group, and he would not participate. He would cut up, and he wouldn't do like everybody in the group. So I gave him a little piece of paper that had on it GRACE. So he left. He snatched it out of my hand. He left, and the next week he showed up, and he was calm, and he was participating. And I asked him, where was it? And he reached in his pocket and showed it to me. It was grace. See, grace is the cure for this guilt that we sometimes keep. And it's hard for people to accept grace. I told him that on this paper was a full unconditional pardon for everything you've done wrong. That's what the Bible says, for God so loved the world that whosoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. It's a gift.
Grace.
Grace is a gift.
Wow. Grace is a gift.
And we're trying to perform the gift.
But sometimes that gift, that you have to give that gift to yourself sometimes then.
Right. You have to receive it.
That's
Receive
right.
it. Receive it.
That's right.
And give yourself some grace.
That's right.
Realize that is that what I'm hearing? So you
You're hearing.
Yeah. And see, God gives it, but we don't. We want to still earn it.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
we perform you, and it's like you're on a treadmill that never stops. You keep performing, and you never get it because you won't receive grace.
Wow. I never thought about it that way. Wow.
Yeah.
And then I guess it's hard then to do the next step then and give grace to others, because if you didn't receive it for yourself, then maybe that's why sometimes people are so like they're so angry and they just lash out at things. Maybe it's because something's going on inside of them and they're not receiving grace for themselves, so it's hard to share that with others. Do you think that's related?
I believe so. I believe you're right on target. I've worked with many people who had difficulty in receiving grace, and so I would always give them that grace card, and I would tell them that this is a full, unconditional pardon for everything they ever did wrong.
That's amazing. I love the way you word that. And to put it physically, that's pretty handy.
Yeah. Something you can see, touch.
Not a word in a book. It's something you can, like, wow, that guy just got real.
Yeah.
Oh man, what an awesome topic that we get to talk about today, and it's on point. My favorite time of year myself is holidays of Christmas, that kind of thing, right? And Thanksgiving. One is because I get to hang around with my family. And the other reason is that to me, it's the one time out of the year that we get to try to stop thinking of just ourselves. Will we get to put it on somebody else?
That's right.
I heard Joyce Meyer do a trick one time. I thought it was really clever. And somebody came up to her and she said that she was unhappy and maybe was getting into that depression. She was seeing probably those early signs of depression. And she was asking Joyce to pray for her, I think is what it was, Joyce Meyer. And so Joyce said, well, what I want you to do is I want you to make a batch of cookies for this couple over here, this older couple. I want you to make some cookies for them. And she goes, no, you don't understand. I got this and I got this problem. I can't go and do that. I want you to fix me. And she goes, okay, well, I'm happy to pray for you and stuff, but just do me a favor. Just take some time. I want you to make some cookies for this other family. And so anyway, and she goes, then come back to me and we'll talk, about this. So the girl never came back. And so she saw her once again a while down the road there. And she said, so whatever happened with that? I think you were starting to feel like you were getting to depression thing. She goes, oh, well, that was over as soon as I started making her some cookies.
Doing something for somebody else.
Yeah, because I guess she helped to get her head off of herself.
That's it.
And start to think about somebody else's issues and maybe how she can fill a need in somebody else's life. And it probably gave her some, I don't know what that is. It feels good to think about others sometimes.
Yeah. And during the holidays, it seems like most of us have a different spirit than we have the rest of the year. Especially around Christmas time. You remember that story about Scrooge, how he was awakened by some different ghosts in his life. Many people live their lives like that without some kind of intervention, something happening where they recognize that it's better to be kind than it is to be, so stingy and
self-centered. Let's say.
Yes. I think it's probably true, and I can blame and pick on myself on this. If I'm in a bad mood and I share that with everybody around me, you know what I mean? I kind of lash out or take it out on everybody else around me. I actually feel worse. You think in your head you'd feel better, but you don't. You feel worse. And it takes me having to take a moment, put myself in check, that kind of thing, and then try to be nice to somebody for no reason at all. And that goes back, and then I start to feel better, which is weird because it's not the way you think in your head. And so it goes back to what you were saying before, that grace is the cure. What I'm doing is I'm going to do grace to somebody and they don't deserve it. I could beat them up.
That's what grace is. We don't give them what they deserve.
We have to think about ourselves. See, God gave us grace when we could not deserve it. The Bible says God commended his love toward us in that while we were yet sinners. So we
in the middle of our mess.
In the middle of
it. We are diametrically opposed to God, and he still gave us grace.
That's amazing.
And that obligates us to pass it out to others. It makes you feel good.
And the kicker in this is, if you don't let others off the hook, you won't get off the hook.
Wow. Well, this has been an amazing topic. And guys, what we're talking about today on the talk show, Keeping It Real, is the holiday blues. It has been nicknamed now from my awesome, amazing guests, these wonderful friends, as seasonal depression. And we've talked about a lot of great parts on that. We're going to come back to you right after our commercial break, but we've got to take a quick commercial break. And our version of a commercial is really not even a commercial. It is a shout out to a nonprofit, and our nonprofit is this time is going to be Saving Lost Kids. And Saving Lost Kids, what they do is they work on, and I'm the work with that team, and I'm the founder. And what we do is we work on missing, exploited, and sex trafficked children, and trying to put an end to all that nonsense. Try to stop it from happening as much as we can on the front end. We also have a search and rescue team, and that's where kids go missing or they get caught up in a sex trafficking. We help and work with law enforcement and all the alphabet soup guys and try to help them to get recovered. But then we had a problem, because once we recovered children from sex trafficking, for example, there's just not a whole lot of resources for them, because it's kind of a specific thing that they're dealing with. And they've now been taken advantage of. They've now had a lot of abuse. They have a lot of ACEs. ACEs are adverse childhood experiences. And so what Saving Lost Kids decided to do, we announced this about a month ago, that we are building the largest care facility for sex trafficked girls in the country. The largest care facility, sex trafficked girls, so 19 and younger, in the entire United States. And we're building that here in Tennessee. But we're going to make this a nationwide project, because we want to make sure that we can really address this and get other people involved. So we're working, talking with people like St. Jude to give us some ideas of how to address that well and make it a nationwide campaign. So we're going to show you, if you wanted to get some more information about it, if you would go to the website savinglostkids.org. That's savinglostkids.org. And I'm going to put it in here just so that you can see it. Kids.org. And there we go. Savinglostkids.org. The very first thing that pops up, as you see in the background here, is you'll see the website that comes up, and there's this announcement of the restoration project. That's what we're nicknaming this amazing facility. And it tells you a lot about it. It's going to be about 75 to 100 acre facility, 18 buildings. 10 of those buildings are homes. Each home is going to house 5 girls. So each girl gets their own bedroom and a house mother, so that they can kind of operate in that family environment. So there's 10 of those, and then the other 8 buildings are a church, a school, all the rec center, all that kind of stuff that we're going to need to have a full long-term care campus for these girls to get some healing that they need and some recovery, counseling, all that kind of great stuff. So, and then if you click on the learn more, in there, you can see information about it, our press release, our progress timeline, do a couple shout outs to people who we have on the board of this now. So we've got Shelby County Sheriff Floyd Bonner is now on the board, entrepreneur Bob Wilson, amazing man out of Arlington. We have State Representative Mark White is now on the board. And we're just going to keep building this thing until it becomes the best project in the U.S. For sex trafficked girls. And after we get through building this one, we'll probably build another one in a different location. But again, savinglostkids.org. You can donate. Of course, that's a brilliant way. You just hit the little donate buttons. There's donate up here. And if you hit the donate, you can put in a monthly donation. Monthly donations are brilliant because one-time donations are helpful for any nonprofit, but a monthly donation makes you a partner and a part of the whole project. It takes it from you just giving a little bit of money to you become a part of it. So we ask that you become a monthly donor, a partner with us. And we don't care what the amount is. It's whatever you can afford, whatever is in your heart to give. We have some people that are actually tithing to the ministry. So we have a ministry side of what we do, Brian Calley's ministries as well. And it just funnels the funds and helps to do some stuff for this project. And because we see that this is such an important project, we need to get the churches and we need to get people's hearts behind it as well. So feel free to contact us for more information about savinglostkids.org. So thank you all so much for that. And we're back to the show. So talk show today. It is our 46th episode, by the way, and it is November 20th. And what we are talking about is holiday blues. I got 2 wonderful guests with me today, and they are Dr. William and Pastor Dianne Young. And they work at a great facility they were telling us before about called the Healing Center. Amazing work that these guys get to do. And they're talking to us to try to help us with this thing about the holiday blues, which is also known as seasonal depression. So we got into some good topics just before the break there. And again, anybody who's watching us live, or Facebook Live and YouTube Live, feel free to put in comments, ask questions. We can post it right over to the good doctor and his beautiful wife, and see if we can't get them to voice in on some of those. So,
well, I want to just salute you for the kind of work that you're doing, especially with these exploited kids. That's such a meaningful work in this day and time, because there are so many children whose lives have been scarred, and as you understand, they've been traumatized at points in their life where it'll be very difficult for them to become whole again. It's not impossible, but it's going to be a difficult task for them. But I just want to salute the kind of heart that you've shown in terms of the caring, God, because God touches different people for different missions.
Yes,
but, that's all I wanted to say about that. But
thank you. I really appreciate that. It means a lot coming from you. So, it's kind of interesting. It wasn't really something I had I can't take any credit. I didn't have a heart and a passion for it when I started. I just know it was a God mission that he gave me to do. And once I started it, then my heart ached. And so I didn't even know to worry about this, because I honestly didn't think it was that big of a deal. I thought it was out there. I didn't know how big a deal. And then I thought it was being handled. I didn't know how much was being swept under the rug and just out of our minds. We don't think about it. So we don't, and it's easier just to put it out of our minds. So, and that's, and now, man, I wake up, go to bed, It's just, it's there. So when God said that thing, by the way, that he'll give you the desires of his heart. All
Yeah.
right. Or the desires of our heart, So in my case, he gave me the desires of my heart because he gave me his desires and put them in my heart because they weren't there before. So he gets all the credit.
You can turn that heart any way you want
We
to.
understand that because in ministry, it's usually the thing that you go into, you have some resistance at first, and then you learn to love what you do.
That's right.
Amen.
Congratulations on a great mission.
But I wanted to give some ways to deal with this holiday blues, if it's okay.
Yeah, let's go there.
I want to say you got to remember to get your rest to make it through the holidays. Now, what that means is you got to make your expectations reasonable and with reasonable goals. You got to be realistic about what you can and cannot do for the holidays. And then you got to get.
Is that a prevention thing to prevent you from getting?
Well, this is a way to really deal with the holiday blues. If you start to have realistic goals for the holiday and get plenty of rest and relaxation during this time. Another thing that people don't think about is that you got to exercise daily. The body needs to move. A lot of people during this time of isolation, they don't get up and walk. They don't use the treadmill or the things that they said they're going to use. They tend to just sit around and look at TV and eat too much.
So walking to the bathroom and walking to the mailbox don't count, right?
No, that don't count.
If it counts, I'd be in good shape. So he's talking about his wife over here.
No, I got a treadmill right
got
over.
one right over here beside us, and his wife kind of walk by.
But physical activity is a really good way to kind of fight it.
Yeah, well, I used to walk about 3 or 4 miles a day, and when I did that, a lot of times, if I was worried about anything or concerned, it would it would just leave. I mean, I exercise, the endorphins released in my brain would calm me down, and you can deal with depression that way. You need to move the body. See, in many cases, the body is not moving. You do exercise for more than just bodybuilding. You do it to maintain the body and to keep certain kinds of diseases from happening in your body. Then you need to eat and drink in moderation. We eat too much, and we need to enjoy the activities that we used to enjoy. Even though you cannot get out as much, you can go in the backyard. While we still got some sunshine, you can just sit out in the sun and get that vitamin D. That'll help from getting stir crazy.
Yeah. Well, you said about losing weight or not eating all the time, I guess.
Yeah, not eating all the time. Yeah.
So let me tell you how one thing I can relate a little bit to that is you may not know this, but about 6 months ago now, I was 68 pounds heavier than I am now. So
I could tell that. I could tell that. I remember from Lunch and Learn, you were heavier than you are now.
You lost 68
Congratulations.
68 pounds in 6 months. Yep. And
Wow, man, what'd you do?
well, I became a health coach out of this because I really thought it was harder. Well, I tried a bunch of several things, it just didn't work at all. And a lot of friends of mine gave us advice, and that didn't do anything. And I ended up getting a couple on the show. We had a couple health coaches, and I brought a couple health coaches on, let them duke it out and say, y'all show me something that works. And they gave me something, and it was actually fun, and it was simple, and it worked. And I was really so impressed with that. My wife and I both lost a ton of weight, but the thing I wanted to do is I didn't want to hate it. I wanted to enjoy. And so I wasn't about to do something like not eat because, I just liked eating. Right. So I like food. And so what they did is they said, okay, well, we don't want you to stop eating. In fact, we're going to have you eat more. We're going to have you eat 6 meals a day. You ain't going to scare me. I could do that. So
just shrink those meals, shrink those 6 meals. But
it was neat. It was awesome. But what I was getting at with all that is that how much better I felt after, and I don't know why really, but after losing 65 pounds, I feel so much better. And I haven't exercised. It wasn't the exercise. I barely exercise right now. I'm starting it again, but just the being healthier, I guess, from the food thing. I was laying in the bed a couple months ago, and I told my wife to come in. I said, honey, I can't explain it. I just feel good, but I didn't know I felt bad. But I just feel really good. Like a weight's been lifted. Like I can just feel better. So
what you got to think about is what your heart was like when it was carrying 6 to 8 pounds of excess weight.
Yeah.
And it was working your heart, and you probably didn't have the energy.
No.
And as you lost the weight, your energy increases.
Absolutely. And your joy increased. And you probably get into that, especially around this time, you get into that cycle, I would think, that you don't feel great. You don't feel like going out. You don't feel like, so what you do is you eat. and it seems like that must be a vicious cycle and so anyway, I didn't mean to take off if you're.
No. You're
right in there.
Right. But another thing, you need to simplify to relieve stress. Set a budget for your social activities and gifts. And remember that simple gifts can still bring happiness.
So yeah, set a budget for your social, like your social interaction
and gifts.
So like, what do you mean social activities? You mean like on?
Not gonna have many this year.
Well, you won't be having many this year, but in previous years they had parties and around the holidays. Yeah, doing.
But this
year, since the pandemic, it's not wise to really have a lot of social gatherings.
But be sure you simplify with your spending. Don't overdo it. Most of our gifts, we're gonna have them sent to us. Most of us aren't going out as much, but don't try to outgift people. Sometimes we try to outgift people, and that'll cause stress.
And another thing is take time to relax and remember. A lot of times we move so much during the holidays until we don't sit down and relax and remember. You got to spend time with caring and supportive people. And keep in mind that traditions can be changed.
They will be changed this year.
Yeah, you're right. We're gonna definitely be changed this year, won't we?
We're actually already planning our change. We're gonna have Thanksgiving dinner at our own houses and Zoom our prayer together, and then we'll go eat in our own homes because we want to keep the family safe, and there's no reason in kicking against the pricks.
See, I got 10 grandchildren, and we used to get together during the holidays, but we won't be able to do that this
Won't be
year.
able to do it this year.
So
We're
is that
gonna,
you
we'll be
think that might be another way of getting depressed for people who hadn't experienced that in the past, where now it's because we can't get together with other people, that might lead to.
I think that's a stressor.
yeah,
That's
isolation.
a stressor, and people get anxious about that
Yeah.
because everybody's asking when will it be over,
Mhm.
and nobody can really tell.
And that's an extra layer of stress for us during this season. But you know, if we kind of deal with it, at least we'll have next Christmas.
Yeah.
Well,
If we don't,
Paul said it this way. He said, "I've learned in whatsoever state I am, therewith to be content." And so we have to learn that even during this pandemic, we have to learn how to be content.
Wow, that's good. That's very good. That's
what
very
we
good,
got
Dr.
to do this during this season. I know everybody don't believe a lot of the things. We have experienced a death in our congregation from COVID, and most of the pastors that we talked to have experienced deaths in their congregations, which makes it real. But we're going to respect it. We're going to respect and do what we have to do to keep people safe. Everybody have their own way of doing it, but we just believe to keep them
I'm
safe.
proud of you. Proud of you. And I guess we probably should. One of the things I learned out of this conversation we've had is to take a breath and don't put so much pressure on yourself.
That's it. That's it.
I think I've learned that from you. I'm bad at that. I've got a huge habit of that.
Yeah.
I'm never good enough. I'm never solving everybody's problem. I'm never satisfying everybody. I'm never, you know what I mean? I can beat myself to death. But
Well, I got a card for you. It's called Grace. I'm gonna give it to you.
You just earned a grace card. How about that?
I'll give you my address later. I want that card. Yeah. Take a breath and just enjoy this time. Might be a good way of doing it, and take it in stride. Don't try to beat
One day at a time. One day at a time, sweet Jesus. That's all we ask. Today, today is so important until when we get to tomorrow, we're gonna name that today. So it's gonna always be today. So everybody needs to enjoy today. Enjoy that. It is just very, very important. During this season, I'm going to jump in here a minute and say we want to watch the fives that could stress us out. We got to watch the finances. We got to keep everything and make it all real. Finances, the family, your festivities, fatigue, and the food. Those are the five things that sometimes will cause us to get ourselves into a holiday blues.
Oh, can you hit that one more time? Can you do those one more time?
The five: finances, family,
festivity,
fatigue, and food.
All right, there we go. I just
Keep
had
everything in moderation. Just keep it in moderation. Enjoy today.
Wonderful. Now, as we talked already about symptoms, now we got about 7 minutes left of the show. And again, anybody who wants to put in questions or comments, feel free to do that. We got a few more minutes here before we have to wrap up. So we talked about symptoms. We talked about what it is. We talked about symptoms of it. We talked about ways of avoiding kind of. But now let's say that that's gone on for longer than 2 weeks, right? We recognize that this is something that's kind of hung out there. Tell us a little bit about what to do now that for some of us who are really hitting that wall sometimes, what we do next.
Well, I think the next thing is to see a healthcare professional. You can see your personal physician, or you can see a person who deals with mental health. It can be a therapist, it can be you know, somebody who is aware and knowledgeable about depression. You know, your physician knows about depression, so it's easy for you to start there, and if you have specific problems, he or she can lead you to a psychiatrist or psychologist. You know, don't be ashamed. Just take away the stigma. It doesn't mean you're not a strong Christian because you uh, get depressed or you have clinical depression. You know, it doesn't mean that God loves you any less. In fact, He knows you because He made you.
Right. And remember that there are several ways to deal with this depression. Your doctor may give you something mild that'll help those chemicals that may be out of balance, or you may have cognitive therapy where you need to change your thinking, the way that you're thinking, because many times the way we think is what causes depression and causes some of the things that go on in the emotional realm,
especially worry.
And worry is a real contributing factor. How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? So you got to reframe your thinking. You got to start thinking differently. And to do that, sometimes you need to sit down with a therapist, counselor, somebody that'll take the journey with you to get you to wholeness.
And I would think that as like a pastor myself, it's good for us to have discussions and stuff like that. But at some point, I think even pastors, we need to remember that there's people that are trained in this, that we need to don't think that we're gonna have all the answers. Let it go sometimes to people who have been trained in this.
Yeah. We've been blessed with.
It's just like a regular physician. They will refer you to an expert in a certain area. And so it's the same way in the church. We do have people who are clinically trained to deal with issues that involve the emotions. So, you know, you got pastoral therapists, you got clinical people who understand depression.
And as pastors, many times you have to know when to hold them and when to fold them, so to speak.
Oh, like that.
You've got to know when you've reached your limit. And once you've reached your limit, ask for help from somebody that specializes.
I have a lot of pastor friends that over the years, they have sent me people and some of them have come to see me themselves. That was unheard of years ago because the pastor was supposed to know everything and be able to handle every kind of problem. But thank God now we are understanding that none of us have all the answers.
That's right.
That's right.
One another. And just like what you do, you got to know where. I think when I was at the post office, I was the smartest person there. And the reason why I was the smartest person there is because I knew where the smart people were.
Oh.
And so when
I was wondering where you were going to go with that now. I was wondering where you were going to go.
I was the smartest person there. I had people in places who had the answers. And they would give me the answers and I'd give them to other people and they think I'm brilliant. But I knew where the answers were. If you know where the answers are, you need to go to the answer and get those answers and utilize those resources.
You are brilliant. So thank you for sharing that with us. Well, that's Pastor Dianne Young and Bishop William Young, Dr. William Young. And so amazing team. God has blessed you guys and licensed counselors at the Healing Center. And they've just done some amazing stuff. And we've been talking today about the holiday blues and all that there is about that, like how to avoid it, how to recognize it, and all these kind of things, how to deal with it. So Thank you again for being such wonderful guests today and for coming on the show. And hopefully we can open up that door again and get you talking a little bit more about a different topic soon.
Oh, we'd love to.
All right, we'd be
Thank
glad
you
to do
so
it.
much. And we're going to look for you back at Lunch and Learn sometime next year.
Oh,
We're
there
doing
you go.
virtual. We're
I'm
going to have
there.
you back.
I'm there. I'm there.
All
Well,
right.
love you both. Y'all have a
Love
great
you.
night.
Have a
God
great
bless
one.
you.
Thank you so much for the invite.
Bless you. Thank you. All right. What a wonderful show that we had today. Again, if there's any more information that you guys need, you can just check it out on the description below if you're watching us live or you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube. And you guys have a good one. We'll see you next Friday right here, 7 o'clock on Talk Show Keeping It Real.